This is Jason Verney's podcast. I am Jason Verney. In this episode, I'm going to talk about and review, as best I can, the film by Zhang Yimou, a Chinese film director, and the film is called The Road Home. I was compelled to record this after seeing two of his films, this being the second one. The first film I saw was Not One Less, and I really love that film. It's done in such a different way to conventional. In some ways, it's not your conventional film. It's not your conventional filmmaking either. But this is also from, let's bear in mind and consider this, that this director is also the one who brought us the film Raise the Red Lantern. Quite a remarkable film, people say, and it's a film that I guess won lots of accolades and awards, and I believe this film, The Road Home, has also got had a lot of good words said about it, and awards as well, I believe. But to go into dive into The Road Home itself, requires me first of all just to talk briefly about how I came across these two films. I think he actually made two or three films. Well, he obviously made three films in 1999 and 2000, but he definitely made the film Not One Less and The Road Home in succession, in other words, back to back, one immediately after the other. The Road Home came afterwards. There are similarities in the film, only slight similarities, and I will touch on those. But this film was brought to me. So I've got. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, I've got to thank really Mubi.com. That's MUBI.com. Mubi sounds like movie, but it's MUBI.com. They are a pretty good platform to watch films, obviously completely legitimately, legally, online, and this is no way affiliated with them. I'm reviewing this because this film touched me, and so did the other film. But I have a subscription to this particular platform, and I used to have a subscription to it as well for a brief period some time ago. They have changed things a little bit, but I want to, sort of give them a bit of big them up a bit at the beginning of this episode, and I want to also talk about them very briefly at the end, a couple of perhaps negative aspects of Mubi.com. As much as it's fantastic for bringing all these brilliant films from across the world, and also the ones we know, Hollywood ones as well, but and independent ones, the foreign films are, you really do get some finds on there. So right, into The Road Home. This particular film is based on a book, a novel by Bao Shi. I'm doing my best to pronounce these Chinese names, and the novel was called. It was known as, or is known as, Remembrance. The actual title. I just want to mention this as well because it's interesting when you get these foreign films. I mean, and I guess it's the same with English language films when they go to other countries. I mean, this particular film, as I say, is called The Road Home, based on a book called Remembrance, but also that the Chinese title, or Mandarin title, I suppose, is actually translates to the film's title translates to My Mother and Father, and I can really see why that is the case, because this film is, the film itself actually starts out talking. It's the son's perspective, talking about his mother and his father and how they met. So yes, as I say, this film was made in 1999, just before 2000. It might have gone into the other year when it was released, etc. I think a bit of controversy surrounded this film and Not One Less, the other one, because there are perhaps tiny political leanings or messages more so in the film Not One Less, I think, more than this film. But this film is also significant for Chinese cinema, or in Chinese cinema, because and you know, people that like Chinese cinema, because it's also it's the first ever the cinematic debut anyway of the Chinese actress Zhang Ziyi. So that's Zhang. Her name is Ziyi, Ziyi or Ziyi. So many people know it because of that. She's quite a well-revered actress, and I guess a lot of loved one. And I mean, perhaps people, you know, they like her because she's, you know, got this attractiveness as well as good acting and what have you. So, as I mentioned, the film itself, and this particular film, some films I don't like to give spoilers on, and there's not really a great deal to spoil about this film because it's such a straightforward storyline. But it starts off, as I said, it's based around this son who recounts his mother and father's getting together, their relationship which lasted 40 years. So at the start of the film, we see the son. He knows that his father has passed away, hence he's gone to this small town / village in the middle of nowhere, which has, you know, as a similarity to the other film that I will talk about in another episode, which is Not One Less. I just want to also mention, because I think I left it out at the beginning, I was compelled to watch this film not long after I'd seen Not One Less, because Not One Less touched me in such a way that it was just convenient that Mubi also, they have these mini seasons of certain directors, so they'll play 2 or 3 or more of their films in one go. And seeing as these two are kind of very, very vaguely linked, even in just where it's set perhaps, or what kind of place it's set, it, you know, that first film compelled me to see this film. They couldn't be any different regarding the stories, but I feel they're connected in more than one way. So anyway, back to the fact that we're introduced to the son who has found out who knows about his father's passing away. So he goes to his small town. He goes to where the old school is, where he used to teach. He's a teacher. His mother insists that she's, you know, elderly. She insists that they do this big procession and march in a certain way and carry his body, his coffin, a long distance. So that's kind of the basics about what he chats to his mother about. And then I suppose we are introduced to we're introduced to the backstory or the how Zhang Ziyi, the female, her character meets the husband, or what becomes her husband later on. And we're introduced to it by way of, well, I suppose you could say one thing that connects this setup, where the son in modern day, I think it's actually set in early 90s as opposed to being filmed in late 90s, but the setup is, you know, that they've got to get the father who's deceased to this from the city to the village or the town or the small place. So the setup is there, and then we have to kind of, you know, this is in a different timescale from what the probably a half of the film or 2/3 of the film is set in. and that's because we take a major flashback or major time travel back to when they met. The interesting thing, interesting to me, the film at the beginning and also at a little bit at the end is in black and white. So unlike it starting in colour and it's then, you think historical, you think black and white photographs, you think maybe it will start in colour and go to black and white time by doing it that way. But instead we start off in monochrome, black and white, and then when the love story is shown when the youngsters met, that's in full colour and beautiful colour. It's astounding. And I will say as well that when we're introduced to this beginning of the film, the son on his way to see his grandmother since she's lost her husband, the credits that slowly appear on the screen, they're in blue, so you kind of know, and it's not going to, it's a modern film, but at the same time, it could be hinting at the fact there's going to be colour later on. So the other thing that the son meeting the mother, who later we meet in full colour, played by Zhang Ziyi in her debut cinematic performance, as I mentioned. That's kind of the connection to the past, but also there's mention at some point in this film about a loom to make a certain banner that either has to go in the ceremony itself, in the march of the dead father, but also the loom, because there's a connection to this loom that when we go to the past, the history of how these two met, the loom was used to make a brilliantly read banner to go in the classroom where he teaches, to go on the ceiling in a kind of a wrapped around the thing that's holding around the ceiling structure, basically. So what I thought was interesting there was that's a loom, and also you could say it's a heirloom as well, because because it's something that's been passed down, not only the actual item, but also the certain traditions. Even this one about walking the dead, walking. Even this tradition has been passed down. So I like to draw the connection there just at this. So anyway, straight from that black and white aspect to the colour segment, which is quite a big segment of the film. Very easy storyline. Two people. One, the young man, who is the father, who's now passed away. But the young man comes to this small place, this small town, this small village, and he's the teacher. And who spots him is her, Zhang Ziyi. And of course, you could say it's love at first sight. I always like to say lust at first sight, because she's kind of besotted by him, or can't believe how attracted to him she is, or whatever. I think she's 18. Their character is 18 and his character is 20. There's also the element where the mother, who is how can I say this? She mentions to the girl after they've kind of seen each other, the girl and this teacher have seen each other. They shouldn't be together because of the class, the class structure or the class, and I won't go into that too much, but I'm sure you get the picture, you get the idea. So yeah, this element, that's when I saw the poster for this film, or the screenshot or whatever it was, full colour of Zhang Ziyi and the other. Well, basically, even just pictures of her alone, brilliantly bright coloured. She's wearing this pink shirt, pink jumper, pink padded thing, and also this very red kind of scarf, I suppose. that become, maybe it's the same as the banner that's used. But the reason I'm saying that is because you see that and you think, oh, okay, this is that. I don't know what kind of film it is, but it kind of gives you a certain feel. But when it starts in black and white, and you think, hang on, is this the same? Is this the same film? And it's not even involving her by this time. So of course, you know, I'm someone who doesn't like. I mentioned this before, but I'm someone who doesn't like to read too much about films. Not even always see the trailer either, because I like to be surprised. I like to be taken away, and I certainly was. And I certainly was as well when I saw the other film that I'm also going to review, another podcast, which is Not One Less. But talking about what she was wearing in this film, I thought it's a good time really to talk about the similarities to the film Not One Less. So both characters, very different characters in both films, have a pink top. I mean, that's just a tiny similarity. That's not, or pink and light red top. That's just a very minor similarity. But some more significant ones. There's scenes in this film, The Road Home, and scenes, or a scene at least, in Not One More, where the female character is chasing a car to get to the person for whatever reason, whether it's to not say goodbye to somebody or not somebody to leave, to get their attention. And in both films, it's done by, I mean, bear in mind they're both based on different books, and I don't know how much is used or borrowed from the book, but the fact that she's taking all kinds of shortcuts she obviously knows this land, which is a beautiful greenery and mountains, and she knows this very well. The vehicle is driving away. It's so far away from her, so it might sound very cheesy that I'm saying, that she's trying to get to this vehicle. She cuts across this place, cuts across this place and another place. And even in this film, The Road Home, Ziyi, she's carrying this. While she's doing this, she's almost there every single time. She's almost getting so close to this vehicle. But she's also carrying this pottery, this meal that is a bit more. There's more I could tell you about this, but as a certain tradition or ritual or something new since this teacher came to town, the villagers all make food for the teachers and the workers that are building there as well. So she's hoping that every day the food that she makes her favourite meals. She hopes that this guy, this young lad, this 20-year-old teacher who's come to town, just picks her food, just has her food. That's what she wants. It's a very romantic film. There's lots. The soundtrack's very sort of, you could say, I mean, I think it's beautiful, but I mean, some people might say it's a bit sweet and saccharine, a bit kind of OTT, over the top, but I don't think it is. So it does the job of that kind of film, really. But yeah, so she's running with this. So she's running with this this pot of food that's, she's trying to hold on to that as well as running. So it's quite remarkable, and she's, and not only that, there's another bit which reminds me also of the other film, Not One Less. So they have this in common as well, where she must go to the city. That's kind of a thing, it's kind of in the other film, completely different characters, completely different actors, completely different story, but the main central character in that, who's actually a very young teacher, she must go to the city. She needs to go to the city to retrieve one of her pupils who's actually left, who's actually done a runner, let's say. So she needs to, and in this film, The Road Home, this character, Zhang Ziyi's character, she needs to get to the city because at one point the teacher has gone to the city for some reason, and I won't elaborate on that. But there's, so she has to do that. Whether she makes it to the city or not is another matter, and I don't want to dwell on that. But yeah, so as I mentioned, the music to this film is brilliant. I've actually seen on iTunes that the two albums are on one album. The two soundtracks or two soundtrack OSTs are on one combined album, as they are on Spotify as well. The Road Home and Not One More on the same soundtrack, but they're both very slightly different kind of soundtracks. But at the same time, they both work. And until I'd seen the Road Home, the film Not One More had already touched me so much that I didn't think this film, The Road Home, was going to be that much better. And it's better, and it's not. It's just very different. I mean, they're both really good films, in my opinion. So yeah, the music works and it pulls at your heartstrings, and it does what it's meant to do without overdoing it. I would say some people might disagree. But also the comparisons in the films, those two films, is she's very desperate to get someone, or to get someone and to be with that person. In the other film that he made that year or just before, not one less. I don't know how many times I've mentioned that title, but in that film as well, she's very desperate. She's very desperate to get this student back to the school and to the teaching establishment. The mini school in this town, this tiny town in the middle of nowhere. Which brings me to the last element of the similarities, which is the fact that they involve a teacher in a small town, in a small village. I'm not too sure if it's classed as a village or a town, but it's very far from anything major, any city. And so they both in Not One Less, there's a 13-year-old who somehow becomes a teacher in this in a particular school with some really funny, cute, and excellently played youngsters. Who I don't want to talk too much about that film. I will do in another episode, but they're kind of played by amateur drama amateur actors as opposed to professional ones. So yeah, this film, The Road Home, it's just pretty remarkable. I mean, I think there's something. I mean, obviously there's something about this director. Yeah, he does seem to choose a lot of his films, if not all. I haven't done my full research. I mean, yes, that's. I'm someone who runs or co-runs or is a co-founder of as well the London Asian Film Society, and I try to keep up to date with as much news as I can and much historical information as I can about Chinese films, Korean films, Japanese films, occasionally Indian films, but it's not always possible, of course. One thing I've just remembered as well from this particular film, not only does it start in black and white and move into colour, it also starts in what appears to be quite a modern-ish vehicle to represent that they've come from the city as well into this small town. Yeah, I mean, other highlights of the film, well, I haven't say other highlights, I mean, it's all one highlight. It's just, I mean, this girl is enraptured by this teacher who's come to town. And it's so obvious, even though the mother, when the teacher keeps leaving, for whatever reason he leaves the town to go to the city, or for some other political reasons perhaps, even though at first her mother was kind of hinting or stating that they shouldn't be together or they can't be together. I mean, she's not, it's not one of these films where it's just stopping them being together, but making it known to her that, they just can't be together. I hope she knows that. But even when the teacher has left on one or two occasions, and it's upset Ziyi's character, the young girl, the 18-year-old, so much so that her mother is also concerned. There's some really nice scenes of the food being laid out for this teacher who's new to town, plus the workers, the builders that are there. And there's some great moments where, as I mentioned, desperation, she's chasing the vehicle, or just simply waiting for him to come back. She remembers the dates he's meant to be coming back, and also she hears a vehicle. Is it him coming back? And constantly getting up and she's sitting on the very lovely greenery that's overlooking the road home, the actual road home. Whether you read that as the road home from the funeral that's yet to take place in modern day, as opposed to 40 years before, or the road home because that's where she belongs. There's also a brilliant scene where the pot is smashed, basically a pot that carries food. It's linked to the scene I mentioned earlier. I hate to do spoilers or whatever. I'm just saying it's linked to that scene where she's running with this crockery. At some point it's broken, and this guy, a guy comes to the village, or he walks around this village asking if people need their pots fixed. And it's so beautiful how he fixes it. It's not just a bit of glue like it would be these days, or it would be in cities even. In this particular village, he puts these tacks in, and it's really beautifully. There's a lot of attention to it, and there is as well with the loom, with the when things are being woven. There's lots of shots of Zhang Ziyi when she's constantly looking, she's constantly longing, she's constantly sort of lovingly waiting for, what's. And I have to say as well, I haven't mentioned this as well, but the love does seem to be returned by the teacher to Zhang Ziyi's character. But yes, I'm it's a very straightforward film. Obviously, up to a certain point, you don't know where it's going to go, but you find out how long they've been together quite near the beginning of the film, so you kind of know. Whether they're actually going to be together, but it's not about that. It's about the not being together, and it's about the longing. It's about it's about the love that could be, and she's obviously such a lost individual, and she's this is the man for her, and it's beautiful. So that kind of wraps up my mini review of The Road Home. If it warrants another episode, I will do another one, but I might even do another one that connects the two films more about the director. But I just want to finish really with talking about Mubi.com. So yeah, they bring some brilliant films, to viewers. Just to give you an example, sometimes I have foreign films. I've said most of the time they're foreign films. I'm saying foreign because I'm a British person, but often they have, they've got Dazed and Confused on there by Richard Linklater. They've also got they've even had things like Police Squad from the files of Police Squad from the files of I think it was just called Police Squad, the series that actually inspired or sparked off the Naked Gun films. They've got Dr. Strangelove, or to give it its proper title, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Stopped to Worry, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. They've got Moon, the film by Duncan Jones, and they had a film by Sion Sono recently, which I watched, and that was brilliant. The one thing as I say, I was going to mention a couple of minor little niggles about this particular. Oh, there's another film as well, Alan Parker's Birdie, that's on there, and a film to do with the musician Sampha. So we've got a very strong mixture of films. But there's a couple of things I noticed that once or twice I've seen that they've as good as they are, that their descriptions can sometimes be a little bit, some words seem to be lost. I don't know if that's from if they're doing a transcribing thing or something's lost in translation, but occasionally a film, I know what they're trying to say, but occasionally there's something that's been put together, rushed together. But the other thing that other people have said about Mubi.com is that, well, you don't know, but the films are available, each film is available for 30 days only. So you've always got a film that's coming and a film that's leaving. And so some people don't like that. I mean, Mubi didn't used to be like that. Mubi used to be like a more independent and more, arty, if you like, version of Netflix, way before Netflix was even the thing it is now, I think. There are other things out there, BFI, iPlayer and all that. But I don't actually, some people I know don't actually like the 30-day thing, but it does work for me. But you can go for ages without, if you don't keep checking it, you can go for ages with missing good films. But if you know a good film's coming up, and I think also you can download. Well, I do know this. You can download a film, so it's on your device, which means that I think it will then give you an extra day or two, even when it disappears from that after that 30 days. You've kind of got another 24 hours or 48 hours maybe to still catch it. And also you can watch it on the move. You don't need to have it once you've downloaded. You don't need to have a Wi-Fi connection. So yeah, I really wanted to do this because The Road Home, it's a beautiful film. It's very emotional. It's after seeing the other film, not one less. It's just there's one more thing I was going to mention. What was this? Excuse me. Not one less. I thought I said not one more. The film, the other film is called Not One Less. Or is it? I'm confused now. I might have to just double check what I'm talking about. It's just for some reason I've lost. I mean, where is it? Bear with me 1 second. Okay, well, I'll clarify it anyway in the description of this. If you do catch this on YouTube or iTunes, either one is fine. If it's on YouTube, feel free to leave some feedback. You can also check out my website, which is minimovie.com. So it's mini, the word mini twice, and movie. So it's minimovie.com. I often post other articles as well as other links to film reviews, links to any films I'm working on, especially with regards to South Korea, and any other short films that I'm working on as well. So that's pretty much it from me, and I will leave you with the food for thought. I mean, basically, check out those films if you get a chance. And Not One Less, that's the other film, and The Road Home. If you get a chance to check them out, or any of the directors, Zhang Yimou, his films, then brilliant. Yeah, a great discovery for me anyway. Those two films. Okay, I'll leave it there, and I will speak to you in the next episode. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.